Looks like we got a Bitcoin pump going on over there. How high can this go? Well, I'll show you exactly what the chart says. What is up, gang? It is I, Carlton Flowers, your crypto pro.
Yay!
And tonight, early this evening, we are going to look at the 4-hour chart, the 1-day chart, and the 1-week chart, and see if we can determine where this current pump could end up. All right, so since the last video and my TA update, Bitcoin has done the exact opposite of what I thought it would do. As usual, Bitcoin clowns us. Whenever everyone thinks that it's going to go one way, we get a situation that reverses and goes the other way. Now, if you'll remember in the beginning of the last video, we talked about probabilities. And what I was telling you during that video was that our number one probability was moving back down and touching into this zone. And what happened? We did exactly that. And then the other probability was just going straight up to this other volume node. So actually, Bitcoin didn't clown me per se. It just did it a lot quicker with a faster rebound than what I thought. But as I suspected, looking here on the 4-hour chart, we did get down into this lower support and resistance zone, albeit quickly. We touched in, wicked in, and wicked right back out. And now we're back up here in the upper zone. So we are going to break down all three charts, and then we're going to find out exactly where the next move could possibly be. Now, none of this is financial advice. You know better than to make any bets based on what I'm telling you, because I'm just giving you the probabilities and what the chart is saying. And we know that any whale can come in and wreck a chart at any given moment. But this is all we have to go by right now. All right, so let's get rid of my handsome face and jump right into the details. Here we are on the 4-hour chart, and you can see that we are at the point of control price of 40,520. See this big heavy red line there? Let's scrunch in this chart so we can get a little bit more into the window so we can see this. We'll pull this out a little bit, and the more volume or history of price you see, it changes this VPVR, or volume profile visible range. That's why when I scroll in more action, these little bars change up. Or let's say if I do this, if I get more recent action, now you can see this point of control price changes, because this is the average weighted largest volume profile bar for the visible portion of the chart. So when we look closer in to the action right now, you can see that we have snapped to this line. We're sitting right on it. Where do we go from here? Let's read the indicators. Indicator number one would be a combination of momentum, and then our next volume nodes. Now we can see that we have a stochastic that is very bullish on the 4-hour and very bullish right here with the MACD 4-hour. Whereas there is a bullish crossover here, a reversal. We were going bearish and coming down negative, headed towards the oversold zone, and we got a reversal and we busted out wide where there is a divergent gap between the fast line and the slow line. That means aggressive acceleration to the upside. We also have this, we had a fake out here and it unfurled, and then the next crossover, now it's holding, and we see a small divergence from the fast and the slow line right there, and we're printing green bars on the histogram. So that says momentum is going up. We had a peak on the regular volume right here with these two volume bars, and the current 4-hour candle that we're on, volume is creeping down just a little bit. So this says that momentum is going up. Well, here's the possibilities, and then I'm going to tell you why it is probable that we're going to get these scenarios that I'm telling you about. My first scenario before I shot this video a few hours ago was that we would make it up here to the 50 EMA, or exponential moving average line. We did that. And now you can see there is one candle that is forming above the 50 EMA. That is also another bullish indicator and says that we're floating upwards somewhere. Well, here are your possibilities. Number one is this big volume node sticking out right there because we're already slightly above the POC, or point of control price. That's the average weighted volume bar that sticks out the most on the VPVR, volume profile visible range. Oops, make that an R. And this price that sticks out here on this node is approximately 41,264. Now, what's the next possibility? Well, the next one would be well, one other thing I would mention here, notice how magically, just somehow by magic, that this volume node kind of coincides with where this 200 EMA is going to end up being. Because you see the 200 EMA, we had the death cross back here. This is a death cross, and that's where the fast line of exponential moving averages crosses over the slower line. So the faster one is the 50 EMA, the slower one is the 200 EMA, and this means this is the average price. Every time we hit to a new day, it's the average price of the last 50 candles or the last 200 candles, and that's what makes the blue line and the orange line. Okay, so anyway, all that to say, we could end up going up here to this volume node, which magically coincides to the positioning of the 200 EMA. The next probability is going all the way up to the top of this trading channel here that has this upper limit and this lower limit. See, we've been bouncing around between this thing, and it makes itself, it changes from support to resistance. And you can see that down here, it was a support and then it failed support, and we dipped all the way down to the next one, magically bounced back up into this zone. That's how those work. So the reason why this is interesting and very probable is because the upper limit also coincides with this big volume node sticking out here on the right side at a price of 43,000 and change. Okay, now, the next possibilities after that is that it could go up here to the 44,000 node, the 46,000 node, or the 47,000 node up here. But those are in decreasing levels of probability. Now, I'm going to erase all this, but before I do, I'm going to tell you that the most probable is here and no more. And I'm going to tell you why. Not to say that it doesn't go outside of that area, but this is most likely that we hit this point and then we reject and go, oops, let me make an arrow. We hit that point, reject, and start heading back down again. I will show you why. The reason is because, as I always teach you, I want you to look and see what return on investment we get for stochastic peaks. In other words, here's a peak, there's a peak, and we're coming up on another peak. What did we return price-wise here? That high. What did we return price-wise here? This high. What are we about to return for this one? It might be a lower high, all right? This got unfurled too quick, and this looks unnatural. I think this is the possible result of some whale coming and buying in hard because they saw a bargain here, and it drove us back up instead of returning us here into the oversold zone. All right. So there's a good chance that if we get up in here into the overbought zone and we are not pushing a higher high, if we don't come up here into higher high land somewhere up here where we're doing something like this, there's a good chance we're going down. Because if we end up rejecting, if we're right here and we're already at a stochastic peak, chances are we're going to come down with the next cycle, and this is going to go this way, and the stochastic is going to roll over. Sometimes the stochastic stays in the overbought zone, which is up here, overbought zone. Sometimes it does a double hump, 1, 2, where it reverses and stays up there. I don't think that's going to happen this time. The reason is death cross, overall trading direction downward. And aside from that, very small green bars on the MACD histogram coinciding with this pump up in price. It doesn't look like we're getting a nice, great big hump like this one or this one. And both of these humps, every time we get these green humps, it's giving a price up here that is on an overall slide downward. All right, let's clear that out. That's what the 4-hour chart is telling us. Let's look and see what the 1-day chart says, if it's bullish or bearish. What sticks out on here? Well, first off, right off the bat, I can tell you that it looks like we have mixed signals here, because on the April 24th, the weekend close, let's get that up here. That's this candle right here. You see there's a doji. That's the one where it says, I'm confused and I don't know, I might change directions. There's your doji. But notice that doji candle closed below this sloping upward line. That is a warning sign, okay? The only good thing about that doji is that it closed higher than it opened, and it left it green. And so that says reversal of direction, and then we got this next green candle right there. It is still significant to say that we closed two candles. See the red one before the green one? We closed two candles beneath this upward sloping line. That's not a very solid indication that we're keeping a trend. It's saying that the trend line is weakening. In other words, this sloping line of support has become weakened because we closed two candles beneath the line. All right, now let's see here. We can see up above us that we wicked and closed below the 50 EMA here on this last run. Will we make it up to the 50 EMA again? Maybe so. We could come up to the point of control at 42,000 because we do have a bullish crossover here, but will that hold? If this holds and momentum carries on upwards, we could get up here to the POC price. We could also jump up and test the top of the parallel, this box, the big, this zone right here. We could test the top of this support resistance zone. And then after that, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Now we see that downstairs, there's a coming crossover. Hopefully, maybe if we can cross over there and hold it, maybe momentum moves up and we start to produce green bars on the histogram. So maybe the histogram bars start heading up right here and we get a little bit of a pump and come to the top of this channel, or at least the POC. So all eyes are on this line right here. Can we hold that line? And that's all I can say on the 1-day chart. It's a 50-50 shot of what happens. So after we get done with this stochastic crossover and we come up to this POC, we're going to see if we reject and come back down to the line, and if this upward sloping line holds support. All right, now let's move it right along to the 1-week chart, and then we are done. So let's scrunch this down, and we can clearly see this parallel trading channel that I drew in a few days ago, this one right here. See that? And now we can even see on the 1 week that we had one candle that closed beneath it. There it is right there. And one candle that closed above it. So it quickly gathered itself. But when we look at the stochastic, clear bearish crossover, we are still in bearish momentum headed downstairs. And we only see that the fast line and the slow line are only slightly coming back together. They got to come back together and close in order to get a crossover. So it'll have to look like this. They got to come back together and kiss each other and make up, and then you get the fast line come on over the slow line so it can do something like that. That's what's going to be necessary for us to come out of this without blood in the streets. Okay? Now, looking at the MACD, it's not looking very good. Number one, we're printing down here in the negative bars on the histogram. Number two, this bullish crossover gave up real quick and it reversed. And now it looks like we're going to have another bearish crossover. And this one trails this one. Okay? They come behind each other. So if this crossover continues and that blue line starts to dive down underneath here, then that says that we're probably going to have enough momentum for this to come down and to complete a cycle, touch in here into oversold before we bounce back up. If that happens, in other words, if we fail this channel right here this week, then I think what we're going to end up seeing is jumping back down to test the next support resistance zone. And if we fail that one, of course, we will have this one downstairs below. So we already tested, we touched on this 38 one. So that's not going to be the one I'm looking to watch. The next one is going to be this one that's at around, 36 and change, bottoming out at 35.6. Fail that one, then here's the lower one from 32.9 to 32. Okay, so those are on my radar. Now let's clear that out and scrunch this in so we can see even more information below. Here we go. And the more volume that you put in here, the more you see the seriousness of these nodes down below. Good Lord. Okay, so there's that big node down here at like 20,000. People are saying that it's possible to hit 20. I don't know about that. I think worst case scenario, I can't talk today. The worst case scenario, I think, is that as this 200 EMA extends out, I think that is the worst case bottom if we punch through, that will come down and touch on the 200 EMA where it will cross over, and that would be at like 27, 28. I'm not believing in anything lower than that right now. Seeing is believing. And so then, of course, after that, I think we're going to bounce straight out of there and go to the next major cycle up. Okay. And then what's more probable is that we come down to 38 before we bounce up. So it is possible that we have a big capitulation, and this week is going to tell the truth about it, whether we dip to 28 or we hold and see this 38 become the bottom before the next run up. Now, economics and news and all of that other good stuff will play into this with the Fed's meeting and announcement about rates, world events, Tether FUD, and everything else. So I will have a news update coming at you very soon where I'm going to talk about what events in the news can affect the outlook to create this chart. Most people say, show me the chart and I'll show you the news. That's usually what I stick by, but I think it is important that we look at world news and find out what they're cooking up for us to justify a crash in the chart. So I somewhat believe the first case, that we create the news to support the chart that they want to manipulate us into. That's about all I've got. Post your comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are on the immediate outlook and the long-term outlook for Bitcoin. And I would like you to like, comment, and subscribe to the Crypto Pro channel. And I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to watch these fun charts with me and follow the market action. This is Carlton. That is all I've got for now. We'll see you next time.